Trading is risky. Use risk capital you can afford to lose. E for eminywizard.com and marketwizard.com. Right, the question has come up, a very good one. How do you know? I'm new to the business. How do you know when to pull the trigger? Nobody knows. You take educated guesses and you try to put at least 2 or 3 ideas together to give you a sense of what's important. In a trend day, when a market is trending, you want to try to hit a bounce or two, and you want to read that pattern, and you want to feel the neighborhoods that you think you should be doing business, time and price. We'd said earlier today that this was going to be an important idea if we stayed below. So at the open, we said normally we'd like the half gap trade, but bots recently don't respect that idea as much anymore. And we thought there was just as much merit because traders were trapped from yesterday, and we had such an egregious move that probably just as good odds to come to the downside. So you have to establish, do you want to risk 2 points, 3 points, 5 points, 10 points? What works for you? And you want to make, at the very least, if you risk 2, you want to make 2. If you risk 10, you better be willing to make at least 10. Some traders I've seen risk 15. I personally don't think that's a good idea, but who am I to say? So you have to find timing and price, and you have to understand it's part of the perspective is using the big boys' intentions, and you have to try to read what you think they're going to do because they're the ones that move the market, not us. And in golf, I've read stories about, well, how I even talked to my brother one time. He was telling me a story about a guy that was he was talking to, and he said he was caddying for him at the time. And the guy said, "How hard should I hit this club?" And my brother said, "I knew right then and there I should be hitting the ball for him, because he didn't know. He didn't have the feel for how far. He didn't have the confidence. You need the confidence. You need the timing. You need to feel like it's unimportant if you lose 2 points. You need to be able to afford to do that. So how do you pull the trigger? You pull the trigger at extremes, and you especially pull it in the first pullbacks and go with the trend. That's a very important idea. So already know we started the day out saying this 95 was going to be a key pivot. So underneath it, sometimes you'll miss the trade, but you'll jump in, and then you have to suffer through the heat for a little bit, and then you get the move you want. So here's an example. Let's go back and see a couple areas that we've already talked about. Here's one. You may have missed the initial move. We said make sure you paid by 84s, 85s, but you may have taken the second entry trade, RTH, on the bounce back. Bang. And the next one, you may have taken it again, or maybe you've just missed it and jump in as it's moving, and we said make sure you paid by 82s. And then we said possibly can get to the 78. So anywhere today, don't forget, we started earlier today in the room suggesting that traders are going to want to hit the bounces and look to go short side, see if we can get some backing and filling today as a result of yesterday's news. And then as we approach areas like this 78, which we showed theoretically as support, that you could take perhaps a contra if you wanted to, but the preferred trade has been short side until proven wrong. So in this area, and we usually establish, like if you're near 78.5, we're going to say the 78 to 82 area, right? We're going to bracket 80 with 2 points, plus or minus. Nobody knows, but that's the zone, that's the neighborhood. So what you want to do, in my opinion, is follow something like a moving averages are absolutely great when the market is trending. Terrible when they're just going sideways. So there were several opportunities today to trade short side, and we call this a stolen range because the market had already moved to the downside overnight. So we know we lost the really better opportunity that we would have loved, which would have been to short the 12s. But that's trading. I mean, you can't be here all day long. So to answer you directly, it's it's very hard to tell. All I know is that there's certain times you're going to have to feel it. And if you don't have the confidence in it, and you shouldn't if you're new at this, my goodness, you're going to make me look like I'm a fool for spending 25 years trying to figure this out and still having a small edge over you and not a large edge. That's my feeling. Because every day I come in and I'm weighing both sides. I'm intelligent enough to know I cannot be just a one-way trader. I want to think, what are the longs thinking? What are the shorts thinking? And then come up with the truth, which is probably in between the two. Here's a 10-minute chart. Here was a signal right here that we had talked about. 98 at the time might be a resistance area. Well, if you miss the trade, then you got to jump in. But you can see by looking at this chart, this has been a sell on this chart all day. If I want to go back and take a look at a 5, I can do that. And this will show me underneath here. This, once we got back under 95 and stayed under, this is where we get the umbrella trade, but we get sharp bounces out of this. And that's why you have to be conservative as we start to trend lower and say, okay, we're going to get a bounce someplace. Well, here's a nice, 10-point bounce. This marginal low sucks traders in. We call that the turtle trade. Right? Because that one little low there says, oh, we're going lower. And yet, look at the bounce we've already got from there. And that came from that chart we showed you, that hidden pivot at 77.25. So it takes time to learn this stuff, and you cannot just jump into the market, and that would be foolish on anyone's part to think that you can compete. Go out there and try to hit a fastball by a guy like Nolan Ryan. Come on. Well, you're trading against some of the best traders in the world. So it takes time, and that's the hard part for newbies because you're still working a job or whatever. And so I say spend your time getting an education. You got to find either traders like me or traders. There's tons of them. Go to my website. You'll find traders that I've recommended. And their friends to follow. We used to do that a lot. I don't see the same camaraderie that there used to be out there where traders will, kind of embrace each other and, help each other out. I just come from that school of thought where I think it's an important idea. But these are traders here that I have recommended in books and so on. But those are, ideas that you can go and find people. And certainly I'm not the only one who has some, I think, reasonable ideas. There are a lot of them. So I'm an educator through and through. Like I said before, I've got a master's degree in education, which means absolutely nothing. It's a paper degree, but it says that I've committed some time to learning how to educate and help people. And I know I can do this with you, given enough time, if you have an open mind. And we don't have all the answers to the market, but we've got a few of them. And I hope the things that I've shared with you today will spark in your, will help to motivate you to learn more about it if you're going to become a trader. There's nothing worse than jumping in and thinking you know how to trade because you make 1 or 2 lucky trades, and then all of a sudden reality will smack you right in the face. For anybody that is interested in pursuing, we're going to have a class starting next week. This is what we do all the time in the class. Just what you saw today is what we do. And contact admin at eminywizard.com for coupon codes because we got a discount for you. Any questions? Let me see if I can read a couple of those.